left-wing media rolls on, trying to pretend it's a dead heat between Santorum and Mitt Romney, it's obvious Ron Paul really won in Iowa because they couldn't scan the votes and flip the votes. They had paper ballots hand-counted in each of the 99 counties. Besides that, the media has been very lax in mentioning that Ron Paul actually clearly won in more than 20 of those 90 counties, and all the others he placed second or third, according to them. But we know from 2008, they cheat Ron Paul out of delegates and votes, as they did in 2008 in that township in New Hampshire. So what did we learn? We learned that Mitt Romney gained nothing over his 2008 showing. We learned that Ron Paul more than doubled his vote official counts in Iowa from 10% to over 21%. And Santorum, well, he spent a wad of money to get a close running necktie photo finish with Mitt Romney, who can't win because Mitt Romney's a Mormon. And the evangelical Christians in South Carolina, Georgia, and other states are never going to go for somebody with a Mormon background because the Christians don't really consider Mormons to be Christians. So Romney can't win. Santorum will run out of money and infrastructure, and Ron Paul will be left running against a very sickly looking Newt Gingrich. What's interesting is how the pretty faces, you know those pretty female faces they keep showing you on Fox and CNN? None of them have a clue. They're reading script off a teleprompter. Ron Paul won. And we'll see if the Ron Paul people in New Hampshire and South Carolina and Florida can keep the vote counters honest. That's the real issue. We need to get back to paper ballots hand counted at the precinct where you can't tamper with them and where there's an actual physical record. We learned that wonderful lady in Democracy Hacked, or Hacking Democracy, back in '08, how they steal the vote. They literally steal the votes, flip the votes with these vote scanning machines, which most intelligent counties have gotten rid of. Clint Curtis wrote the software. That's the real issue. Can we force them to make an honest count? Ron Paul is sweeping the country. Independents, Democrats, Republicans have realized there's only two choices in the 2012 presidential race. There's Ron Paul for peace, an end to the Federal Reserve tactics of robbing and destroying America with their fake mortgage manipulations. There's Ron Paul, restore peace, prosperity, and bring the troops home. And then there's all the others, including Obama and the Democrats and the Republicans. All the others, they all want more wars, more destruction, and they are being force-fed by the Federal Reserve central bank gangsters. That's the choice. Ron Paul versus all the others. Forget about this talk about true conservative. You know, Michelle Bachmann, as she bowed out, said a true conservative doesn't change their values. A true conservative always votes the same way. A true conservative, blah, blah, and everything she described was Ron Paul. She might end up being Ron Paul's pick for a vice presidential running mate. Just as Joe Biden, who bombed out first in '08, got to be Obama's running mate because he wasn't a threat, and he got picked. We'll see. Ron Paul actually was the real winner. He doubled his vote, Romney sank, and Santorum has got no staying power. Newt Gingrich was trounced. He was absolutely crushed. Less than half the vote Ron Paul got Newt Gingrich. And Huntsman, he was a no-show. Michelle Bachmann, for all the media darling stories they did with her, nothing. And notice they never interview Ron Paul about his talking points. Auditing and getting rid of the Federal Reserve, restoring honest money, bringing the troops home. They never mention that most of the troops support Ron Paul. If you had all the donations given to all the other candidates other than Ron Paul, they don't even add up to 1/2 of the money donated by active service troops to Ron Paul. The military's behind Ron Paul.
I think that was rather quickly gone through, and I think it was supposed to be something, you know, a little high-spirited and a little bit funny, but it turned out to be a national incident about this Twitter. But I think, I think Stan...
We'll get his reaction in a moment because he's listening to this. But I suppose what I would say to you, Congressman, it seems to be...
Yeah, I thought he was a nice guy. He and I get along real well, and I thought he had some reasonable ideas. But I can't imagine him attacking me, you know. And, so
well, I'm hoping you will in the moment. I mean, that's what he's on for. So hopefully you will. But I think what I would just urge a bit of caution with all these things, Congressman. There seems to be a pattern emerging of you being completely unaware of what your staff are doing under your name half the time.
Well, not half the time, you know. I would hardly say that, but, you know, a press person does a lot for all of us. And if somebody is going to try to tell you that their press person never did a thing in your telling you the straight story, press people tend to do that, and they went over the top. And it was just a little thing, and they were trying to be funny. And I told them afterwards that after I got stuck with that, I said, you know, that isn't very funny to have me get caught on national television and not know what's going on, but it was meant to be in good humor.
But that issue would carry, that libertarian strain would carry to its logical conclusion. Your father isn't veering far from that by saying, being consistent, I am against this. And that scares the you-know-what out of some in the party.
But I think if people heard a full explanation that, for example, the 3 previous heads of U.S. Central Command have all warned against a preemptive strike in Iran. They think that the unintended consequences could be worse than them getting a nuclear weapon. The current head of the Mossad, Tamir Pardo, said 2 days ago, we need to quit saying that it's an existential threat to Israel.
You didn't clap about it. I was right. I was watching the body language.
I think you're reading too much of the tea leaves. I was pretty exhausted.
All right. Then one more question, Senator. Okay. You always get mad at me for this, but you're on remote, so what can you do?
All right.
I don't think your father is going to run as a third-party candidate because I think he sees great promise in you and that you could complete the job he might not be able to. I'm not dismissing his chances this year. Don't get me wrong. I just think it could be an uphill battle. But you are his shining light. And if he were to be a third-party candidate, he has cursed your chances to ever do what he's doing right now. What do you say?
Well, I've said over and over again, I don't think a third-party effort is a good idea. You know, I don't think that the
Well, your dad
Tea
has done it
Party
before.
becoming
Your
a
dad's
Tea
done it
Party.
before. It's not out of the question.
I know, and I helped him when he did it in 1988. But what I would say is that right now, I think the Tea Party has big momentum that helps the Republican Party. If we split off, I think it would simply...
So you told him that. You told him, Dad, this would be a disaster if you did it.
When we've had discussions about it, and we continue to, but you have to realize that when he says over and over again, he's decided what his answer is going to be, and he's sticking with his answer. He has no plans.
He's never definitive. I'll tell you, Senator, he's never really definitive, which I admire because is your father a lawyer?
But the reason
is he a lawyer?
No, he's a physician. He's an OBGYN.
I just thought he had a law degree because he sounded like a lawyer by not, just blankly denying it. And I think he's saving this for you. He sees a future president in his son. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think he doesn't say, I think he just doesn't say it definitively because he's decided that his answer is, I'm not thinking about it, I'm not considering it. And I guess the other thing is he gets frustrated by it because, look, until yesterday, people were saying he could win the Iowa primary, and it's like, gosh, I think I can win the GOP primary. Why are they always bugging me about running for another party when I'm thinking about winning the Republican primary? I guess he takes it as an insult, that the question keeps coming up. But I understand why people ask it because he has done it before. But I don't think he will do it.
Okay. You know I'm right on this body language stuff. You know I'm right on my gut call of these things. I think I have some
you're
uncanny
overreading the tea leaves,
perception.
Neil.
Oh, really? We'll just see this
Overreading the
just
tea
right
leaves.
down. Senator, it's always great to see you. Happy New Year. We'll be watching you closely. Be well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're wondering if we can keep them from stealing the vote like they did in '08, where Ron Paul was cheated out of all the delegates. He should have got all of them in Nevada. He won many delegates in Louisiana, Missouri, New Hampshire, Florida, and he was stolen. All those delegates were stolen from him. We'll see if we can keep the vote counters honest. We already know you can't keep the media honest because they're controlled by the bank gangsters. I'm William Wagner, hoping I gave you second thoughts down here in Southern California where we're still eating fresh oranges off the tree. Let's see.